Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Fausey Focus, hosted by yours truly, Coach Jay Fausey. Here's the agenda for this week's episode. We'll first talk about the weekly recap, followed by the game of the week. Next, we'll talk about the top players from week 2 and discuss the starting 11. And again, this will be posted through the Fausey Focus every 2 weeks. So the next one after this will be at the end of week 4. Okay, first off, we have the weekly recap. And again, this is for week 2. On Monday, you had Douglas versus Cragmont. Cragmont gets the win over the Red Devils of Douglas by the score of 6-3. The second game for that day, you have Brighton versus Gibson County, and Brighton wins 7-0. Both of those schools did not provide stats. Moving on to Tuesday, you have Overton versus Wooddale, and Wooddale continues to show promise. They defeated Overton by the score of 4-2. Wooddale did move down from AA to single A, and Overton continues to kind of spiral because many people kind of had them as a favorite for pushing for their district title and moving on to into regionals. And then they just lost to a single A school. Next up, you have Memphis East versus Craigmont. East, Ethan Freeman with 2 goals and assist, Fritz Casusto with an assist, and Randy Butler with 3 goals and 1 assist. Next up, you have Memphis School of Excellence Winchester played Oakhaven. That is a district game, and MSC Winchester wins by the score of 7-1. Millington took on Lakeland on Tuesday night. Lakeland gets the dub 4-0 over Millington, goal scored by Adam Atkinson, Eli Coleman, Alan Paredes, and Andres Lopez. 1 assist was recorded by Luke Baldridge. Freedom Prep played Bluff City. Bluff City defeated Freedom Prep by the score of 5-2. Next up, you have Central versus Germantown. And the Warriors of Central defeats the Red Devils of Germantown 9-1. At one point, a few years back, this would have been a very close game. Central for the city school district has been kind of a powerhouse, along with White Station and Kingsbury. It's been kind of those three. You could also throw in Overton too. So we just want Germantown to kind of go back to the way they were in the past and being a powerhouse within the city. Next up, you have Kingsbury versus Houston. Houston gets the win, 6-0. Jack Fondal with 2 goals, Grayson Adams with a goal and assist, Liam Moore with an assist, Maddox Yarbrough with a goal, Alex Ibibugu with a goal, and Aiden Fisher with 2 assists. Finishing out Tuesday night, you have Covington versus Ripley, and Covington won by a score of 7-3. Goals scored for Covington: Ty Waddell with 5 goals and 1 assist, Lester Narcisse with 1 goal and 2 assists. Moving on to Wednesday, you have Raleigh Egypt taking on East. East wins that game by the score of 8-1. East is on a roll. Goals for East, 3 goals scored by Randy Butler. He also added 2 assists. Aiden Longoria had 3 goals and 3 assists. Casusto had 1 goal. Evan Yao with 1 goal, and James Komet had 1 assist. And if you guys aren't familiar with who the head coach of Memphis East is, his name is Coach Hadar. He's been at East for at least the last 2 or so years. He did extremely well with the girls program this past fall, taking them to an undefeated regular season and taking them to the state tournament for the single A classification. And he's doing extremely well also on the boys side. In the past, he was the head coach at Kingsbury High School for both the boys and the girls. And he took the Falcons of Kingsbury to a couple state tournament appearances on the boys side. The second game on Wednesday night is White Station versus Crosstown, and that game ended 0-0. Memphis School of Excellence, Cordova, took on Douglas, and Douglas got the 1-0 win. The lone goal for the night was by Regibir Aquino, and Josh Maldonado had 1 assist. Douglas Douglas with their first win of the season. So I want to give a shout out to Coach Parker over there at Douglas. He is a younger coach, but we had him on our show, and that interview will be posted in the coming days. So again, give Coach Parker and the Douglas Red Devils a shout out. Okay, next up you have Kirby versus PCA Power Center. Kirby gets the 4-0 win, and that is a district game. So Kirby is doing well in their district. Memphis School of Excellence Winchester beat Middle College 6-0. Freedom Prep lost to Craigmont by the score of 8-1. The next game is our game of the week. And so we'll just tell you what the score was and we'll get more into it later on in the episode. So Kingsbury and MBA battled it out, and Kingsbury got the 2-1 win over MBA. You have Sheffield taking on Hillcrest in a district match for the small single A public schools, and Sheffield wins by the score of 3-0. One goal was scored by Dami Perez. He also had one assist. And then you also had Emerson Reynalso with one goal. Christian Brothers and Collierville battled it out to draw. Again, Christian Brothers is an 11-time state champion. The Dragons of Collierville, to my knowledge, they have no state titles, though they do have at least 2 state runners up, but that was 10 plus years ago. But Collierville is pretty consistent of going back to state, so they will get another opportunity again this year. Next up, you have Fayette versus Covington. So Covington wins that game 3-1. Goal scorers is Milo Brock with 1 goal, Ty Waddell with 2 goals, Colin Winfrey with an assist. And so he is back at the helm at Covington, but the head coach at Covington, his name is Coach Luttrell, and they are currently 3-0 this season. And his return season as the head boys coach at Covington, he has spent the past few years as the head women's coach at Dyersburg State Community College. And so he brings a vast amount of high school and college experience to the Chargers of Covington. Way to go, Coach Luttrell. We're rooting for you and supporting you here at the local pitch. Okay, next up, you have Ridgeway versus Melrose, and the Roadrunners defeated Melrose by the score of 6-0. And that is a big district win for Ridgeway because most of those schools in that district, they're going to have to win out because it's going to be extremely competitive with Craigmont, Kirby, and Ridgeway. Douglas is fighting in there, put in some good work. And so it's going to be all these teams are going to play for that ideal seeding for the district tournament. So Friday, as we close out the week, you have Wooddale taking on White Station, and White Station defeated Wooddale by the score of 4-3. You have Munford defeating Millington by the score of 4-1. Munford goals was scored 2 goals by Mateus Socorra, Christopher Gonzalez with 1 goal, Parker Wright with 1 goal, and Marcos Rodriguez with 4 assists. You have Lakeland taking on Crockett County, and Crockett County defeats Lakeland Prep by the score of 4-0. And this would be, they might see each other again in the regional tournament. You have Haywood tying McNary 2-2, and goal scored for Haywood is Jaziel Santiago with 1 goal, Marlon Lloyd with 1 goal, Eduardo De Jesus with an assist, and David Banos with 1 assist. Finishing up Friday night scores, you have Dyer County versus Peabody, and they finished with a 2-2 draw. Also want to give a shout out to Brighton. They played 4 games this week, one during the week earlier on, but then they also went to the Smoky Mountain Cup and they killed it. They went 3-0 on the weekend. They defeated Westridge 6-0, played Campbell County. They won 10-1, and they also defeated White County 4-0. So I give big props to Coach Brown out at Brighton. Based on these results, they won their division at the Smoky Mountain Cup. All right, the next thing we're going to transition to our game of the week. And so that was the Kingsbury versus MBA game that took place at Cordova High School. Like I said earlier, the final score was 2-1, but it was jam-packed with a lot of action. And so MBA, they go up by an amazing goal by Ohani Rivera. And so if you guys didn't see the video, there was an amazing through ball just past the half field mark at about the 45-yard line. The player that made that pass, he split the left center back and the left outside back. Ohani is playing on the kind of out wide on the right as a winger, and he takes a touch, beats a defender, and puts it past the Kingsbury goalie. So moving on with this game, after the goal was scored, sometime after, you have NBA getting a red card. And so then the Execs have to play a man down for the remainder of the game. And as you guys can tell, and you guys have probably experienced this, playing 11v10 is not the best. It really wrecks your form, wrecks the game plan, because now you're having to play catch up. Or in this case, NBA had to maintain the lead. Do they just sit back, or do they push forward and maybe they get outmatched numbers wise, and then Kingsbury can go down and take advantage of that. And that's kind of what happened. Kingsbury gets 2 goals in the second half. And then towards the end of the game, a fight breaks out. And then the refs call it early. For all purposes, I know there's fights in the girl season, and the game did end early and the game counted. I know there was talk online through the Memphis High School soccer Instagram page that the game was not recorded. I will say that the game counted until the state comes out and says that it doesn't count. But if it doesn't count, then there might be some sanctions directed at both of these programs with Kingsbury and MBA. Okay, next up, we have the top players from week 2. No surprise, our number one player of the week for week 2 is Randy Butler from East. He got 6 goals and 3 assists this past week. Second place newcomer of Ty Waddell from Covington. He had 7 goals and 1 assist. Then in third place, another East player, you have Jaden Longoria. He had 3 goals and 3 assists. And again, these stats are based on what coaches have provided to us or through Max Preps. So if you think you had a better stat tally this past week, be sure to get on your coaches about updating the roster in Max Preps, and also add stats each game, because that is crucial. Now we're going to be transitioning into our starting 11. And again, I know not everyone's going to be happy, and that's okay. Again, this is opinion based, based on scores and of schools that I think that have either won. They've scheduled a pretty hard schedule so far, and we'll get into that. And then I also know Keith is developing his own episode on how and what type of mentality should coaches have when it comes to scheduling games. But again, the starting 11, it'll be posted every 2 weeks. So this is the end of week 2, and we'll be posting it again at the end of week 4. And this is not based on Tennessee high school soccer rankings. This isn't based on, the state hasn't come out with their own RPI state seeding brackets yet, or the Memphis high school soccer rankings. Again, this opinion is by what I think, Coach Jay Fausey. Okay, so first up, we have Christian Brothers at number 1. In second place, we have Houston. And in third place, Collierville. Fourth place, we have Bartlett. Briarcrest in at number 5. Many people may not think Briarcrest should be there, but if you've looked at their schedule, they've played a gauntlet. So Coach Axel over at Briarcrest, I think, is doing the right thing at pushing his players and making it as difficult as possible to make them better, because it's only gonna get harder from there. In sixth place, we have the Lynx of Los Angeles with Rogerio Lima. In seventh place, you have South Gibson. In eighth place, you have St. George's. In ninth place, you have White Station, who has started the year out strong. In 10th place, you have Brighton. They've shown a lot of promise these early weeks, and I can't wait to see what they can accomplish in finishing out the top 11, or the starting 11. You have Memphis East, who is currently undefeated. East did switch districts. It's going to be an interesting district when they come up against the likes of Crosstown and MBA. So our substitutes, which will be positions 12 through 15, you have Arlington coming in at number 12. They have not posted that many games, and I know Coach Cook has already kind of redeveloped that program, and I know he's going to do great things there. Coach Wright over at SBA, the Eagles of SBA, they are in 13th place. Coach Luttrell and the Covington Chargers are in 14th place, and then the Lions of Harding finish out in 15th, and that concludes our starting 11. Again, this will be posted every 2 weeks, and our next edition will not be in next week's episode, but in the following week's episode, at the week 4 episode. And with that, that concludes the Fausey Focus. Thanks again for all of you that listen, that follow us on social media. Again, we'll be posting these episodes shortly and hopefully more frequently. Again, you guys can catch us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and all the episodes will be posted on YouTube and Spotify. And that's a wrap for this week. Thanks.